Thank you, Chris. Justice for Krisha.
Justice for Krisha. We love you, Chris.
We love you.
My name is Chris Odette. I'm here on behalf of the AVIC group for Texas region. It's advocates of victims of illegal immigration crime. September 12th, 2014, I was just talking about earlier, I let my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter Krisha, spend the night at a friend's house. The friend's mom allowed her and her daughter and my daughter to walk to the grocery store to buy some soda pop. On the way, my daughter and her crossed the street at a non-crosswalk and dropped her cell phone. She ran back in the road to grab her cell phone. The side of the traffic that she was on was able to stop. They slammed on the brakes and stopped about 20 feet short of her. The opposite side of the road was a man driving a truck. It was a white 2004 Nissan Titan. He had been in the country for 15 years illegally. He had no license. The night he killed my daughter, he had 2 warrants. One was for driving without a license, and one was for speeding. They were 4 years old. He hit my daughter, and he killed her. When I got to the emergency room, they told me that they believed that she died instantly. But as I said earlier, her death certificate said that she took minutes to die. She's died from severe head and neck trauma. Part of her head was basically crushed in. When they arrested him, he didn't run, he didn't flee, he just pulled over and he stopped. When they arrested him, they took him to jail. They gave him a blood and urine test to test for drugs and alcohol. According to the county arrest records, he was booked in at 1 a.m. He was released at 1:36 a.m. for his bonds. Because he didn't commit a violent felony, as they put it, they didn't charge him with any crimes. They didn't report him to immigration. I had to push the issue with my lawyers to get it to go to a grand jury to even consider charging him with anything beyond giving a ticket. But the grand jury, as I was told, said that because he had no drugs or alcohol in his system, there was no proof of negligence in his ability to operate the truck that he was driving. Therefore, he wouldn't be charged with any felonies. The city said that unless you commit a violent felony, they weren't in the habit of checking someone's citizenship status, even though they already knew that he was in the country illegally. So they didn't report him to immigration. That's what a sanctuary city is. It took 2 years of fighting, and I finally chose to settle out of court with my lawyer from the accident I had trying to get to my daughter before I was allowed to speak out. I started writing politicians trying to get someone to get involved and help me find some sort of justice for my little girl. Congressman Michael Burgess from my district was the only one who responded. I met with him at his office, and he opened a congressional inquiry. Contacted DHS and wanted to know why they didn't go after this man. And they told him, as I told the congressman, they were never notified of the incident. So they arrested him on January 8th, 2016 for his immigration status. I was contacted and told that he was considered a flight risk, and so they had requested he not be given bail. And his warrant came from DHS headquarters here in DC. So I spent all of 2016, 2017 understanding that he was in jail. But I found out last year that that wasn't the case. Apparently someone decided, the federal judge in Dallas decided that it wasn't necessary to hold him, even though he was stated as a flight risk, and it gave him bail, and he was bonded out a month after he was arrested. He also got a letter at the beginning of September last year telling him that he had 30 days to turn himself in, that he'd lost his immigration battle. At the end of that 30 days, they sent him a letter and said they misspelled his name, so they had an additional 30 days to turn himself in.
It's ridiculous.
He didn't turn himself in, so they went to arrest him at the end of October, and they found that he was gone. He ran with his illegal wife. So now he's a fugitive somewhere in the U.S. ICE is actively looking for him, and as they explained to me, they're overwhelmed with the amount of illegals they have to find. They're undermanned. So essentially he has to commit a crime again in an unsympathetic city to be captured, just to be deported.
Horrible.
Doesn't count the fact that he's never been charged with killing my daughter. My daughter would have turned 18 on the 12th of February. She never got to graduate high school. She was extremely gifted. She had just started high school when she was 13. She didn't get to go to college like she wanted. I didn't get to help her finish learning how to drive. I'm never going to see my grandchildren. I'm never going to get to enjoy watching her get married. The permanent separation that I have to endure, the lack of justice for my daughter's death. I cannot comprehend how anyone can say it's unfair to separate a person who negligently brings their child across the border into the U.S. illegally through deserts, harming their family members, and then complains about being separated because of due process. I am living proof of what permanent separation is. Not some illegal who brings their kids irresponsibly here. The argument about building a wall. I spent 12 years in the military, and my first job was combat engineer. Combat engineer's job is mobility, counter-mobility. And placing mines, clearing minefields, forces the enemy to go the direction you want them to go, or waste time trying to clear an area so you can actually capture them. Wall is no different. If you build a wall, then the person trying to cross has to waste time trying to get over that wall, or go under that wall, or go around that wall. And that gives us more time to put resources in the area to capture them. If they choose to go around the wall, it funnels them into an area where we can actually capture them effectively. I find it really weird that the government can tell our president that he can't have the money he asked for to build a wall, but yet they're willing to give money to other countries to help them to better their development.
Right.
People want to come here and claim asylum. I don't understand why they can't use the asylum claims at the embassies in their own country.
That's right.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense that the illegals have more privacy and protection in our country than we do as citizens. I'm not allowed to know the federal ID number that an illegal alien killing my daughter is issued because he has privacy. He can't do anything other than know their name and know the status of where they are being processed in immigration. But I can't know that. It makes no sense to me that we have politicians that have spent their careers, 30, 40 years, 20 years, solely building and protecting illegals, while we have American citizens that are being killed by illegals, and there's no protection for that. The argument about there being less crime by illegal aliens is false on its head because the crimes aren't being reported. If they're reported, then they actually have to report them to immigration. If they commit a felony, you have to go into a database. In that database, they get flagged. They're here illegally. So you think about what was put out in the news, what President Trump talked about earlier this month, about 4,000 people being killed, U.S. citizens being killed by illegal aliens. They're sitting in a federal jail. That's 4,000 people that they know of being charged with a crime. That doesn't count all the American citizens like my daughter that was killed by an illegal alien and never charged. So that number is much bigger. The crime rate by illegals in the country is much bigger. When you come to this country, you have to patriate. You have to learn the language, you have to learn the laws, understand the Constitution and American history. So you have more invested in being here and following the laws. When you come here illegally, you have no reason to know any of that stuff. You don't follow it, you don't learn the language, you don't become a part of the society. As a result, you have no care about the laws. You come here illegally, you've already committed one crime, coming here illegally. To get around, you either have to drive a vehicle or you have to get someone to carry you around. Driving a vehicle, you're committing another crime. And then you take the chance on killing somebody driving that vehicle that you're not licensed for. The laws need to be enforced. Immigration law states that if you're caught here in the U.S. illegally, the first offense is to be a fine or possible deportation. Multiple offenses mean you get deported. It also states that if you're here illegally and you kill or severely injure a U.S. citizen, you're supposed to be held in jail for an undetermined amount of time. You're also supposed to have your property taken from you. The guy that killed my daughter had the vehicle he drove that he killed my daughter with, not even a month after my daughter's death. He already had it in his possession. They knew he wasn't legally allowed to have the vehicle. He had no license for it. They told me that the night of the accident that he told the police that he was borrowing the vehicle going to a soccer game. 2 months later, they tell me that they basically know he owned the truck, but because he didn't have a license, he couldn't put it in his name. But nobody charged the guy that supposedly sold him the vehicle a year before. They didn't charge him for aiding him. And he still ended up with the vehicle again, committing the same damn crime all over again, driving without a license. I had a surgery right after my daughter's funeral. While I was laying in bed trying to recover from that surgery, my sister took the accident report and drove over to the house, the address showing where he was living. What she found, she took a picture of that truck, and that picture happened to show a bump, or a dent on the bumper. That dent matched the bruise that was on my daughter's body as she was being taken in for her cremation. He was working on that truck to drive it again after killing my daughter. The prosecutors knew I told them that he was driving that vehicle again, and they told me they had to catch him in the act. He's committed a crime. They don't charge him with a felony. They don't report him to immigration. They don't do anything about it. That is a sanctuary city. In my job, I travel all over the U.S., and it blows my mind how I keep hearing from people saying, "Oh, I've never heard of a sanctuary city." How do you not know what a sanctuary city is? How do you not hear? And the crazy part is, you find that a lot in Oregon, Washington, California. I don't understand how you can't know what that is. Laws have to be enforced. And if the laws can't be enforced, then there need to be laws written to enforce them. This wall needs to be built. Government has ways of funding stuff. Speaker Pelosi said walls are immoral, and then votes yes for a bill to give the president $1.3 billion. So either she's confused or she's a liar. She lives in a house that has walls around it, but walls are immoral in her opinion. I asked Breitbart News when I tried catching her, and I've sent her Twitter messages asking her to talk to me. I want to know if walls are immoral, if she's willing to tear down her own walls around her house. I want to know if she wants to put in legislation to tear down the walls that are currently existing. It doesn't make any sense. How are they immoral? Her family's protected. She's not trying to keep anybody out any different than she is trying to protect her own family. She voted years and years and years adding more and more money to build walls, but as soon as this president, the only president that's had the fortitude to take this head on, suddenly they're immoral. This President Trump, when he announced his inauguration, he was running for president, made me cry because I was in an airport and I'm hearing about this, and I'm facing my daughter's death and the justice for her death. When he got elected and he had his inaugural speech, I cried again because he's the first president that I've heard in my lifetime speak as openly about his faith in God for this country. I can't remember ever hearing any other president talk about it.
Amen.
The previous president, within the first year of his office, chose to stop having fighter jet aircraft fly over a parade because he was concerned about how it would look. National Prayer Breakfast is concerned about the way it would look if he was there for Christians. He didn't want to seem like he was taking sides in faith. This president has taken a stand on faith. He's taken a stand on life. He's taken a stand on borders. He's taken a stand on fixing our financial system. This is the only president that I've seen in my lifetime who's actually done everything he said he has. I don't think I've ever seen a president that has taken more heat and more negative press than this president, and he does everything he says he's going to do. Well, you got these little politicians that are complaining about him doing what he says he's going to do.
Thank you, Trump. Won't be a puppet.
This country needs a whole lot of prayer. This country was made because of God. This president needs prayer because he has so many corrupt and bad people that are doing everything to tear him down. Good point about Kamala Harris and about Cory Booker. These people will say anything that they can because it's politically efficient to get what they want. But they don't really care about the people. They don't care about the citizens. If you listen to Cory Booker, you'd swear he's actually running for some sort of movie. He's trying to get into a movie so he can give these amazing speeches.
That's right.
stupid. It's just flapping his teeth, air passing his mouth. Doesn't mean anything.
Lies and
Kamala Harris, she's another charlatan. Everything that comes out of her mouth is a lie. Nancy Pelosi doesn't even have the fortitude to look angel families in the face and talk to us.
It's shameful.
She won't do it. But she doesn't mind welcoming illegals. State of the Union, I read that there was 20 illegals that were invited to participate in the State of the Union address. When I came here to go to the State of the Union address, Congressman Michael Burgess had me as his guest. I had to give either my Social Security number or the number to my U.S. passport to be here. I had to show photo ID, give the name and place of my birth, and the date of my birth. So if you could bring an illegal alien into the Capitol, how did they not get arrested?
How did they get in?
The
Shameful.
laws have to be enforced, regardless of whether you're a guest of a politician or you're a guest of someone else. If you're here on a visa overstay, get the hell out.
That's right.
Go to jail and get the hell out. If you
That's
come
right.
here illegally, you're telling every legal person that's came here and migrated here legally, you're telling them that what you did didn't matter. Why are you going to spend thousands of dollars paying some coyote or paying a drug cartel to bring you into the country when you could have simply used that money and followed the normal process?
Right.
That's right.
Anyone who comes here illegally, they don't really care about this country. To say that they're coming here for a better way of life, they're lying. They're not coming here for a better way of life. They're coming here for an easier way of life.
Coming here for a handout. Handout.
We shouldn't have
Handout.
people living on the street homeless. We shouldn't have people suffering and going without food. While we've got illegal aliens being given all of the social benefits they're given at our taxpayer dollars. I don't understand why, if the government can take money out of my check each week, why I can't say where that money gets spent.
Exactly.
Makes no sense. It's not fair.
Nope.
The only way you're going to get rid of these politicians that don't do anything is vote them out. Educate yourself. Don't vote party line, but educate yourself and follow what the politician's doing. Because this immigration problem, this wall, it's not a Democrat or Republican problem. It is both party sides. You've got rhinos and you've got lying Democrats.
That's right.
You have to talk to your politicians, get involved, and push them to do what's right. Ocasio-Cortez talks about people giving her a hard time about being factually correct and wanting to be morally correct. This is just as moral as is factual about what's happening.
You can't fix stupid.
American citizens should not have to take a backseat to an illegal alien committing a crime just because they don't want to have to report them. My daughter, my 13-year-old daughter, she should have been with me. I should have been able to celebrate her birthday. I cannot begin to express to you how hard and confusing it was in my head and my heart, knowing that I couldn't celebrate her 18th birthday with her. I couldn't call her and say, "Hey kiddo, happy birthday, I love you." I couldn't send her a card, have a birthday cake with her. I can't have any of that. I can't have that time back. I put 12 years of my life in the military, and I'm damn proud of it. But I can't say that I wouldn't give anything to turn that away, just to have the time with her if I knew I was going to lose her anyway. We need our laws enforced, and we need justice for all angel families. To the names that I know of, just the names that I know of, Dominic Durbin, he was killed by an illegal alien. You've got Pierce Corcoran, killed by an illegal alien. And in Pierce's case, the guy that killed him was just like the guy that killed my daughter. We've been in the country for years. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
You got a man that kills a woman in California because he picks up a gun and it just miraculously goes off.
Kate Steinle.
How does a gun just miraculously go off?
Brandon Mendoza.
Brandon Mendoza. The names, it's hard to keep track of everybody because you just keep hearing about more and more of them. But you damn sure hear very quickly about a child being brought across the border illegally and
right.
dying in ICE custody because they're trying to save the child. And politicians say, we need to look into this. Well,
It's their parents' fault.
Mr. Harris, or Miss Harris, Mr. Booker, Miss Pelosi, why were you not that concerned and why weren't you at my daughter's funeral?
That's right.
Do we matter? Do we not matter? You want our money from our taxes.
You matter to
Support
us,
us.
Chris.
Or vote them all out. All I want is justice for my daughter.
That's right.
Justice for Krisha.
Justice for
all
Krisha.
angel families. Thank you.
Justice for Christian.
Chris. Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. God bless Krisha. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chris, for, this is Chris Odette. Justice for Krisha, everyone. Justice for Krisha.
Amen.
And we want to wish Krisha a happy birthday in heaven. She's in the most beautiful place, and she's loved so much. And she won't be forgotten, Chris. And you're not forgotten. We love you, and we thank you. And your service, we thank you for your service, and we thank you for your bravery to come here and speak and tell your story to all of us.
We're fighting for you.
Yes, we are. We're fighting for you, and we're fighting for Krisha. And we want justice for her. And we want justice for all the angel families. And
He's a damn good president, no matter what anyone says. Remember that. This is a damn good president. It's a damn good president. Thank you, Trump. Thank you for being here for us.
USA! 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 Okay, everyone, I want to remind you of one more thing. Yesterday, speaking of walls, Nancy Pelosi and how she says walls are immoral, let me tell you something. Letting American citizens get murdered like Krisha is immoral. We delivered Nancy Pelosi the WhiteHouse.gov petition to impeach Pelosi that 185,000 American citizens signed with no national press coverage, just sharing it around on Facebook in 30 days. We delivered that to her office here in D.C. yesterday because the American people want Nancy Pelosi out. She's a traitor to our country. She's guilty of treason. She took an oath to protect American citizens and uphold our laws. And she gives aid and comfort to our enemies who illegally invade our land. That's what treason is.
Exactly.
And by our law, representatives and senators can be kicked out and no longer serve in our government. And it's a crime punishable by death, is what treason is. Nancy Pelosi is guilty of treason, and we want her out of our government. She's held her seat of power for 32 years. She's 78 years old. She is dying in Congress. We are fed up with these corrupt politicians that hang on to their power just to make themselves rich. Now, all of you are great Americans coming out here and standing up. We have more speakers to come, so I'm going to hand over the mic to coming up. Okay.
Real quick.
Get off the couch,
Okay.
Patriots, and join the next
Take
one.
one quote. I got it right here from Trump.
Okay, one quote.
Hey, you guys, my name's Randall. Here's a quote from our
We're gonna have
president,
Burnett
direct
and
from
then
him. He wanted us to tell you this.
Yeah, we'll have Minerva go
Listen
next.
to it. No dream is too big, and no challenge is too great. Nothing we want for the future is beyond our reach. President Donald J. Trump, to us, let's USA, 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 USA.
Yes, we're gonna have Dr. Minnie come up and speak.
Okay.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, America. Good morning, boss. And good morning to each and one of you. First, I want to thank Aisha and the organizing members for this event and the opportunity to lend my voice to fund that wall. We're here today to protest the lack of funding via Congress for America's protective wall. This is not President Donald J. Trump's wall, but it's a necessary instrument to protect Americans' safety, American boundaries. And this must be built to curtail crime, drugs, and above all else, human trafficking. Human trafficking across the border, the southern border, is a big business for the criminal enterprise. And what makes it awful is that it's a prosperous criminal enterprise because America produces the Johns, because America produces the clients. What kind of society have we become that allow the exploitation, abuse, and even murder in children and persons in the land of the free? The wall, as we have said before, is not immoral. What is immoral is rape, exploitation, the harvesting of organs, and the murder of children and persons. Speaker Pelosi, does that not offend you? It is not that sufficiently immoral for you. According to the State Department, even up to 19,000 foreign nationals are trafficked into the United States every year. Most of those, an estimated 70%, are trafficked from Mexico. And half of those are minors forced into prostitution. Believe me, a lot of those children coming through with their supposed parents, those are not parents, those are custodians. As a servicer and provider of past victims, I've heard the stories. I've had to help women heal those that were fortunate enough to escape. One particular one told me the story of how she was selected by her parents as the sacrifice, the one that could be sacrificed, the black goat, because she had a defect in her body. So they thought if she makes it through and sends money, yay, and if we lose her, so who cares, she's defective. You see, it's not just us. It's the mindset, the cultural mindset of the people that think a child can be sacrificed. As previous providers, I already said that. Sorry, because I'm reading. It's too much asked for $5 billion to build a wall to help mitigate this crime. The wall, a symbol of boundaries, strength, and order, speaks volumes to the world entire. This is why President Trump has made human trafficking a focus of this administration. And he has already made significant progress in addressing it. There's even an executive order to empower law enforcement and provide the resources necessary to dismantle transnational criminal organizations involved in trafficking. Construction of a southern border will help immensely curtail those heinous crimes against humanity. Therefore, I lend my voice with all of you today to implore, to ask Congress, have some heart for America. Have some heart for our daughters and our sons. Have some heart for the veterans. I'm a veteran. I'm an Air Force veteran. And if they allow me back in, I'll go back in. I'll fight socialism. I'll fight communism. I've been doing it my whole life. I have helped the Venezuelan people to overcome. And we are seeing today a 1776 episode where the Venezuelan people rose up and said, we have enough of this communism. We have enough of this socialism. We've had enough of this tyranny. We want freedom. Venezuela, yes, Venezuela was once the 4th largest economy in the world. And it's important because Venezuela stabilizes the Latin American region. It brings prosperity to the other countries as they do intercommerce. So we all know that socialism stinks. Socialism does not pay. And we ask again, Speaker Pelosi, get off the high moral horse and fund that wall. Thank you. Thank you. Many Diaz. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Great speech. Build the wall. Okay, we've got more speakers lined up. Adam?
All right, everyone.
Hold on. Circus music.
All right. So I'm Adam Rice. I'm here from Yellow Vest USA, and I'd like to talk about some other problems in our country that we would like to propose some solutions to. So no one group came up with these. This is from all the feedback from all of the people that we have consulted through our Yellow Vest movement here in America. First, we're on the topic of the United Nations. It is time for the United States to leave. The UN has become a danger to the U.S. by promoting an overreaching authoritarian agenda not in line with the Constitution. Each year we spend billions of dollars with both the UN and foreign aid. The allocation of these funds will immediately be redirected into programs for American citizens, such as health care, education, alleviating homelessness in our senior citizens and our veterans. Mass immigration. We all understand that we have an immigration system that is broken. We can no longer ignore this problem. We have allowed our government ample time to fix it with no success. So we must fix this. Whether it is a wall or another solution, we have to do something. Too many people are being hurt and dying. It is awful. We have seen it. You've all spoken on that, so I will skip on to something next. All right, we have a petition here. I'd love to show you guys what we've put up for it too. We've crossed some left and right lines with that. Happy to talk more personally with anyone after this. Okay. We also, if millions of people can flee their own country because of corruption, those same millions can stand together in this vest and take their country back.
Yes.
They can be free too.
Yes.
Marijuana, we want the marijuana legalized. We want it in all states and taxed so we can fund senior care. The same regulations as tobacco. We want research for medicine to help people with cancer. IRS and taxation. Phase in the action to dismantle and end the IRS and stop federal income tax on both personal people and businesses. Immediately implement a national federal flat sales tax not to exceed the state level tax. No tax exemption for anyone. State taxes remain the same and not to exceed 10%. A few more speakers. Okay. We want the fake news to stop. We want transparency and truth. Yes, we want the money out of politics. We want fair elections. We want to be heard. We want our representatives to do what we want, not what they want, not what unelected bodies elsewhere in the globe want. We want our voices heard. All people equally.
Thank you, Adam.
Judicial. Every citizen of the United States deserves a fair trial. The program Compass needs to stop. It is being used statistically to analyze and recommend sentences to offenders. We must end this. Okay, data collecting. Any data collected from the people sold to businesses. This will be my last one.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Give your
Important.
Give your website.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll end with the website. I'll read this one piece because it is important. All the data that is being taken from the people belongs to us. It can't be sold. We want our privacy back, and if anyone is going to sell our data, we get paid, not them. Yes. You can find us online, yellowvestusa.us. All of this is up there. I'm happy to speak to any of you.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam.
Thank
Done
you.
a lot of research. Thank you. Okay, Ben, I'd like you to come up and talk for a few minutes to everybody.
All right. Thank you, guys. I will be quick. A lot of you guys know my story. So I'm out of California. I have the displeasure of having a governor who has committed treason as well. Gavin Newsom should be in prison at minimum. He has broken his oath along with Nancy Pelosi. We delivered that letter to Nancy Pelosi yesterday. But any politician, any representative who protects an illegal alien over an American citizen should be held for treason. They should be removed from office. The only office they should be able to hold is a jail cell, and that's minimum. There's a reason why the death penalty comes with treason.
That's right.
The reason I'm up here, I've crossed back and forth across the border. I had the pleasure of hanging with guys like Will Johnson and Conservative Anthony and a lot of the patriots up here. But the reason I'm doing what I do, I'm a part of the Angel Families Network as well, and having Chris come up here and speak. I haven't had a child lost to an illegal alien, but I don't want to have one lost. I don't want to become an angel father. That's my biggest fear. I can't imagine what Chris goes through. Angel moms like Agnes Gibney or dads like Don Rosenberg, Marianne Mendoza. For these politicians to say that this is not a crisis, they are complete liars.
Liars.
They spit in your face. They spit in the face of every American. Nancy Pelosi wouldn't even have the decency to meet with them. Yet she cares about illegal alien separation. And you know what happens most of the time they're separated? Oftentimes we find out that those men that are taking those girls aren't their fathers. They're raping them. There is a man in our jail in my county right now who came across illegally, brought a 12-year-old girl, said it was his daughter. 4 months later, he's in jail, she's in the hospital. He had raped her continuously for 4 months. Her mom sold her to him. And we have Democrats here that say don't separate that man from his child.
Shame on them.
It is disgusting. It is evil. The battle that we are in this nation is not a physical battle. It's a spiritual battle. And the enemy is strong. The light is dark. But the darker the darkness, the lighter your light shines. It's time for every American citizen, every God-fearing citizen to stand up. To fight back, to shine your light. And I believe that this is the time. There is a generation of patriots, God-fearing patriots across this country that are starting to stand. Many people say it's too far gone. I don't believe it. God put it on my heart to stay in California and fight. I believe California can be redeemed. If California can be redeemed, the entire nation can be redeemed. But it's up to you. It's up to us. It's up to every American, every legal immigrant that's coming to the right way, raised their hand and sworn the oath, that loves this country, to stand together. It's an honor to stand with you. My organization's Frontline America. We're going to continue to fight until these politicians are in prison and America comes first again. God bless you guys.
God bless America. Thank you, Ben. Ben Berquam, Frontline USA. Okay, I'm going to ask you, Will, come on up and say a word for us here. Hey, we don't care about rain. We don't care about rain. We care about America. That's right.
What's up? Who's your president? I can't hear you. Who's your president? Awesome. You know what? It's beautiful to see everybody out here. Little rain, we don't melt. You know what these are? These are liberal tears. They feel good.